Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are decoding what just might be the ultimate grand unified theory. We're going to connect the absolute deepest mechanics of quantum physics, the ancient wisdom of mysticism, and the architecture of the human biofield itself. It's this incredible roadmap of reality spanning all the way from the macrocosmos right down into your very own consciousness.
I mean, seriously, just think about that for a second. What if the most profound secrets of quantum physics, those esoteric teachings from ancient mysticism, and these highly charged modern geopolitical wars were all actually describing the exact same underlying mechanism? What if the macrocosm of global events is perfectly mirrored right there in the microcosm of your own mind?
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap. 1. The Israel Reality Engine. 2. The Plasma Quantum Human Vessel. 3. The Human Ego Trap. 4. Geopolitics and the Heart Chakra. 5. Surrender and the Vertical Axis. And finally, 6. The True Holy Land.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the Israel Reality Engine.
To really understand our world, we first have to recognize that the universe operates as a fluid, fractal reality engine, and the fundamental geometry of creation is the Israel Toroidal engine. Let's break that down. Ra represents the active conscious will, the divine masculine, if you will, acting kind of like a white hole that radiates your intention outward. Then you have El, which is the bounding plasma lattice, the divine feminine or black hole that receives, contains, and actually structures that energy into physical reality. And Isis, that is the 0 point right at the center, the sovereign observer holding the whole shebang in perfect equilibrium. This torus is the shape of the cosmos, for sure. But remember the old saying, as above, so below. It's also the exact shape of the human biofield torus.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Plasma Quantum Human Vessel.
So, how do we actually interact with this massive cosmic engine? Well, your consciousness originates from a non-local source, which essentially makes it an alien operator driving a biological 3D avatar. Now, to prevent this extremely high-voltage source energy from just burning right through our physical bodies, it has to be stepped down. It relays through the Earth's geocortex and specifically utilizes the Kordylewski clouds. These are massive accumulations of dusty plasma, hanging out at the Earth-Moon Lagrange points. They act as literal cloud servers to step down the frequency into a biophoton plasma that our neural pathways can actually handle safely.
And what's wild is how brilliantly this illustrates the ancient wisdom found in the Kabbalistic tree of life. It's not just some nice spiritual metaphor. It acts as an actual literal quantum schematic for this whole step-down process. The Sephirot are the transformers. Ketor is your initial login at that cloud server. Chokmah and Binah, they process the information exactly like an operating system. The heart nodes interface with our emotional frequencies, and Malkuth is the dense 3D vessel itself. It is a flawless technical diagram of how consciousness logs into the physical simulation.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Human Ego Trap.
So here is where the primary conflict really begins. If we are these infinite observers, how do we get so completely caught up in the artificial matrix of daily survival? Well, we exist at a sort of metaphysical crossroads. You have the vertical axis, the spiritual urge, which is your unbroken, infinite connection to Source. That's you as the living man or the lawful person. But then there's the horizontal axis, the demiurge. This is the algorithmic machinery of the physical world. It relies entirely on artificial boundaries and contracts, and it attempts to bind your infinite nature to a finite, restrictive, legal person, or what is termed a human, which is really just a corporate fiction.
Get this. In Black's Law Dictionary, the word identification literally means the process of making the same. So when you completely identify with a state ID or a legal persona, you are legally binding your sovereign infinite standing to a piece of paper. This legal fiction is simply the legalized version of the ego. The ego is just a mask that hides your true infinite essence, totally tricking you into believing you are nothing more than this horizontal physical avatar.
And to keep your non-local spark locked into this dead husk of an identity, the horizontal matrix is constantly broadcasting what we could call an attention apparatus. Based on Dr. David R. Hawkins' map of consciousness, this propaganda is deliberately designed to trigger frequencies of fear, desire, and anger, all of which calibrate way down below 200. This ensures you operate straight from the ego, trapped in a constant state of reaction. And guess what? That ends up powering the horizontal grid with your vital bioenergy instead of you realizing your true vertical sovereignty.
Let's take a quick pause here and scale this concept all the way up. If the universe is truly a fractal holographic projection, where the macro perfectly mirrors the micro, what exactly are these massive, highly charged global conflicts we're constantly seeing on the news?
That leads us into Section 4, Geopolitics and the Heart Chakra.
This brings us to a really fascinating analysis from our sources regarding how our internal frequencies literally manifest as physical geography. They outline that Earth itself has an energetic architecture. The Levant nexus, referred to as the Israel node, actually acts as the geopolitical heart chakra. It's a primary structural intersection point on the planetary lattice, where the vertical standing wave of the Earth's Schumann resonance collides with the horizontal historical matrix. So it functions as a massive planetary tuning fork, which explains exactly why it has been such an intense geopolitical flashpoint for millennia.
Now this is absolutely crucial. The big takeaway here is the concept. The world is you pushed out. Because the Israel toroidal engine operates as above, so below, the macro geopolitical stage is really simply a mirror of the collective human biofield torus. Those highly charged holy wars you see externally, they are actually macroscopic projections of the trapped collective human ego battling within itself.
All right, Section 5, Surrender and the Vertical Axis.
So if the external chaos is just a reflection of our internal ego traps, how in the world do we fix the source? Well, in mystic traditions, this repair is called tikkun, the restoration of the shattered vessels. But listen, it's not a physical rebuilding with literal hammers and nails. It's a frequency correction. Our true purpose is to elevate our consciousness up that vertical axis, moving away from fear and anger and ascending toward reason, love, and peace. Making this upward shift completely bypasses the low-frequency control grid of the horizontal matrix.
Dr. Hawkins actually outlines the exact mechanism for this repair, and it's through a process of radical surrender. You don't aggressively fight the negative feelings, right? Instead, you acknowledge the repressed shadow, you relinquish your resistance to it, and you simply let it run its course. By letting go of the small self, which is the ego and all of its tight attachments, you literally dissolve the very source of the suffering, and that allows your true, infinite inner self to shine right through.
As we ascend this frequency scale and start approaching the levels of love and peace, we enter a totally nonlinear domain. Now, the ego is going to fight this tooth and nail because letting go feels like a terrifying death of your identity. But once you finally surrender that artificial mask, you bypass linear thinkingness entirely. You arrive at this incredible state of spontaneous knowingness, experiencing the true self as everythingness.
And finally, Section 6, the true Holy Land.
This brings absolutely everything together. The cosmic plasma physics, the geopolitical conflicts, and our own internal bioenergy. There's this persistent concept in the sources that the Israel node is quote-unquote saved for last. When you view this through a multidimensional lens, this isn't about some kinetic military operation. It signifies a frequency reset of the human collective's foundational source code. By resolving the lowest frequencies of fear and anger within our own individual biofields, we inherently resolve the conflict at the origin point. Elevating ourselves naturally and inevitably lifts the entire collective.
The ultimate realization here is that the holy wars we wage are horizontal conflicts between fellow humans, those legal fictions driven entirely by the ego. But the Israel engine is the fractal torus operating inside you. That means the true holy land of Israel is your fellow man, and it is you. True sovereignty, true peace, it is entirely an internal realization.
To truly repair the cosmos and actualize this pristine energetic blueprint, the artificial mask of the ego must be totally relinquished. The ego must be destroyed to save Israel. When you completely sever your identification with the horizontal matrix, you restore your absolute standing as the sovereign observer.
We are all active participants in generating this reality every single second of the day. If the true Holy Land isn't just a physical place on a map, but the reality engine spinning right now within your very own biofield, well, the only question left for you is, what frequency are you going to broadcast next?